Okay. Good evening. Welcome to the October meeting of the Budget Committee for the City of Kankakee. Today is Tuesday, October 14th, and we will begin our meeting, as always, with public comment. Is there any public comment here tonight? This is the only portion of the meeting where public comment may be voiced. Seeing none, we'll move on to roll call. Alderman O'Brien here, Alderman Osinga, Alderman Malone-Marshall, Alderman Marzak.
Present.
Alderman Navarez.
Here.
Alderman Jones.
Present.
Alderwoman Johnson. We have 4 present, 3 absent. We do have a quorum. I did hear from all the people who are not here that they would not be here. We don't have presentations or old business. Under new business, we have, the first item is review of the September monthly meeting minutes that are in our packet here. Is there any questions about the minutes, changes, corrections? If not, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So.
Motion by Alderman Jones. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Marzak. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Next, under new business is a review of the September 2025 financial statements. Comptroller Rogers, will you please walk us through those? Thank you.
So we're 5 months into the budget. It should be about 42%. Expenditures will follow that a little better usually than our revenues. The first thing that I wanted to mention is property taxes. We did get our 3rd distribution on the property taxes, and we're sitting at 93% collected. There is a listing towards the end of the packet that shows the 3 distributions that we've received so far. And it shows you what the levy was and then the dollar amounts that we've received next to it to come out to that 93% overall.
Comptroller, do you remember in previous years, 93 seems a little bit higher than what we're usually at after the 3rd distribution. Do you happen to know any of that information?
Yeah, I don't know the exact percentages, but their holdback this year has been substantially lower than it has been in the past.
Okay.
And there's no real rhyme or reason on that holdback.
I know.
Kind of decide who they pay faster, and for some reason this year we're being paid faster.
Okay, excellent. I think they had a lot of communication about that, so perhaps they kind of reworked their formula. But I do feel like 93%, after just past knowledge, guessing, 93% seems higher than it has been in years past, so I'm glad to hear that.
On the first distribution last year, they held back almost 50% of it.
Yeah, it was a lot.
This year they did not.
Good. That's good news.
So that is good. We're getting paid faster. The other 2 items that I highlighted to discuss here are midway down that first set, Department 30, number 312 and 313. It looks a little odd there. One is very high, one is very low. I need to do a reclass there. We got 2 numbers miscombobulated. So by the time I make the adjusting entry, there'll be no difference to the bottom line. But that top number, local use tax, is going to go down to $90,309.33, and the state income tax is going to go up to $1,917,128.71, with no impact at all on the bottom line. We'll still be sitting there at 57% received in that first department.
Comptroller, could you give me those numbers again? I'm sorry, I'm going to write them in real quick.
90,309.33 on line 312. And for 313, it's 1,917,128.71.
Thank you.
And as I had mentioned at one of our earlier meetings, I am not adjusting for the accruals until the end of the year. So typically we might not have shown as much in the revenues at this first part of the year, but I will do my accrual adjustments all in 430 so that whatever I'm backing out is offset by whatever I'm putting in, and the difference will be much less. than going through the first few months of the year with no revenues. The only other thing to mention on this page, there was a line item there that someone miskeyed a number. So in that bottom panel in Department 32, line item 344 really isn't an active account, and that dollar amount will get reclassed. It should have gone to 334 ambulance fees. It was actually a refund of ambulance fees, and when it went through AP, it picked up the wrong number. And again, those entries won't make any difference in total. Up on the next page, the only thing I had noted to mention here was, as we had discussed before, now that,
Alderman, I got an extra.
and I have ones here too. Now the code is up to staff. The fines in this bottom panel, Department 35, 381 fines, is looking a whole lot healthier than it has in the last year and a half or so. And if you flip up to that next page, the top there, 387 under liens, it's also significantly higher than it has been.
Top of page 3, Paula.
Yes.
Okay.
The top of page 3. And none of the changes that we discussed are going to do anything to impact that bottom line on total general fund revenues, where we're sitting at 51%. Which again, there's a big bolster there because we've received so much of the taxes. But it's still a good sign, because we'll put that money aside and earn interest on it until we need it. So I didn't really make any notes on the first few pages on expenditures. There's nothing really out of line, nothing really draws your attention, unless you find something you have questions on. The first thing that I had noted was the overall salaries and overtime. You'd see the individual amounts here, and I am going to prepare a summary, kind of like I do for ESU, for anybody who's familiar with the cover page on ESU, that will highlight those total salaries. But if we look at the salaries throughout the city, we're sitting at 37% of budget, which is a good 5% below where we had budgeted it to be, which is a really good position considering that we had budgeted to be 5% higher this year than last year. So again, that's each one of the individual departments has their own salary number, but I did a sum to show how much the total was. Overtime is also running at 37.37, and we had budgeted it for 9.35% higher this year. So on page 7, there are 2 minor places that I need to make reclass entries. In 31, Department 31, police sworn personnel down there on the travel and training, there had been a conference that was scheduled that we got a refund from the conference, but the conference had been prepaid last year. So I need to move those monies out of the expenditure and put them to the prepaid. That will add to the bottom line, and we'll put expenses back there, not a huge amount. And then I did want to mention under the police training, 509 ammunition, that does reflect where we got the reimbursement from the City of Kankakee FOP, and there was a small amount that belonged to last year as well. So on page 8, the only note I had there, we do have another minor amount. There was a training equipment down under fire training, Department 42, the line 508, where it looks like we have a negative amount there. Somebody reimbursed us for a fitness mat, and the mat was purchased last year. So I need to move the monies around on that. And then the only other thing that I had listed on page 12, and this one will have a fairly large impact. I had hard-coded in there the amount of the debt service and the capital fund allocation on our very last statement, and those two figures need to come back out. So that will have a significant impact, and it'll be an impact towards the positive. It will lower the amount of our expenditures, and it takes us down to like 38% instead of the 45%.
That line item 967?
Yes, 967 and 968, I'm sorry, I did not.
Okay.
We don't usually record those until year end, and I should have backed them back out. So unless there's questions on other items specifically,
So, Paula, if you back those out, you're at like $13,769,281.50 year-to-date, is that about right?
yes, except I probably will put some of it back.
Okay,
I was gonna try and make the entries more timely this year,
okay.
but I can't tell you off the top of my head how much goes back.
The only other thing I can think to talk about with, you said we're about 38%, correct?
Yep.
So obviously, we still have, did the GemNet come out in October?
It did.
Okay.
The payment for that will be in next time.
Okay, so that GemNet payment will be reflective in the next month's statements.
And that was accrued for last year, and because the books were still open, none of that will really impact us.
Excellent.
Except I think I
point.
did bump my percentage of the estimate just a little bit.
To cover for
I think I went
future.
from 34.5% to 36.
Okay, excellent. I just wanted to revisit that quickly. That sounds great. And then the other thing is that we will be paying some retro salaries, as we know, hopefully here in the next few weeks. And so it'll be a little time, it'll take a little bit of time, but we will hopefully be getting out sergeants here by the end of the year and also fire department by the end of the year. Those will be time-consuming processes. Fire a little bit more because it's a year and a half's worth or so.
I believe she's already got sergeants ready to go.
Sergeant should go pretty quick, yeah.
So really the only thing that's left is fire.
Perfect. And then those will be in upcoming months. Because I think that 38%, although it's great, we've got quite a few percentage points wrapped up in those retro salaries. So I just wanted to make sure that we remember that we're really probably a little bit more on target, but really below, right, because you've got those pension payments in there, which already came in at 90, we've already collected all of those. So really and truly, when I looked at these on a departmental basis, we had two departments that were slightly over, barely, and then we had the majority of departments are under budget right now.
Well, and the departments that were over were the newer ones. That
Could be a budgeting issue, too.
could be a budget
Yeah,
issue.
you're right. Yeah. So we will continue to track that as this year goes on. And they're not horribly over budget. Like the one that I looked at was Office of Violence Prevention. It's over a couple percentage points. Dollar-wise with a smaller department, that's not that many dollars. So we have to make sure that we look at that. And sometimes it's timing. Community promotions is over. We know that that's timing because we spend all that money in the summer, right, at our events and trying to have nice things for our community. So we spend a lot of those dollars in the summer. So of course we come out of summer extremely high. And then we spend very few dollars for the rest of the remainder of the fiscal year.
One of the issues, or the specific revenue sources that I always find interesting is on page 1 of the reports, in the first box, 30, the supplemental sales tax listed as home rule sales tax, item 310. So that's, I think, always an economic indicator generally. That seems like it's really strong again this year, ahead of, we budgeted 6.3, we're ahead of that, assuming it continues at that level. So that's interesting. just in general, I think, but also secondly, any overage, that line goes, of course, right to, exclusively to pay for the pension loans, right? And any extra there, that goes also exclusively to pensions, right? To the
Correct.
extra fund, is that right?
Yes,
Okay.
the only thing that benefits the rest of the city from that is the money sits there in Illinois funds.
Yeah, yeah.
The interest does not have to go to
Yep.
them. So the interest comes into the general fund.
It's on it, Paul and I, we have a long to-do list, and one of the items is to reconcile back, Paul's already done quite a bit of work on it, but to reconcile back all of the dollars that we have collected over the years that we know are all earmarked for the pensions, but to make sure now that our debt service is, of course, getting ready to escalate. That's why we've been stockpiling that cash. You know, one, it was by ordinance, it was by law, we had to. But the second thing was is that we knew when that second tranche got sold and those payments came due, we were going to need a little bit of extra funds. So it's all been by design, but because it wasn't really getting called upon now until recent time, we didn't have to have an absolutely perfect sheet. And then obviously I transitioned to the new role too. So we're working on divvying up those dollars appropriately. And I know Paul has done a lot of work on that already. And so we know exactly how much, because like Chairman said, every dime that we collect has to go toward the pensions.
And that, I believe on Bob Vale's debt schedule, that number stayed for the full term of the pensions at 6 million, is that right? Does that sound right?
Our original estimates were 5.5. Yeah, we didn't want to gamble too much on sales tax, knowing that although coming through COVID, I would say the experience I have with that is we tend here to spend dollars about the same.
Right.
Even during COVID, we spent less, but not substantially less, like a lot of other communities were really hurt. And basically here, we buy a lot of goods that are repeat goods here, not a lot of one-time goods, right? The car purchases, the big things, we don't have that kind of market. So we tend to be a little bit more stable. We thought that going at that $5.5 million number really provided like the ultimate conservative cushion for those payments. I mean, clearly, if we're running strong like we are now.
Yeah, it seems like we're,
Right, so hopefully we'll never have to like tap into those stabilization funds and those other things that we built into those bonds.
yeah.
That would be the goal, and then that money can continue to earn interest and work for us.
Very good. Does anyone else have questions for the review of the financial statements?
And then I was just going to mention
Oh,
the
yeah.
cash position again.
Okay.
That's the page, after page 12 of the financials. We did receive that third payment, so the bond account went up significantly because taxes got dumped into there. And then the other one to look at is capital. Capital, because the bond money came in, we end up being $8 million higher than we were last month. We had been running a negative balance there for a little bit in the beginning of the month of September that was being carried by ESU. But then once the bonds came in, we have plenty of money on both sides. And we are receiving interest now on the majority of our accounts. So there is an additional column in there where I'm giving you the interest amounts. And then the next few pages are the breakdown of the tax levy and what we've collected. And as Elizabeth had mentioned, they're paying us better. They're not holding back as much. And then the very last page is ARPA. And the thing to mention here, we're down under $2 million. We only have 1.779 to spend. And my only concern with this, we have a few of them we need to go back and review because we haven't been spending money and the time is starting to tick down. So anywhere that it's going to take construction or major projects, we've got to make sure we keep moving on those things because as you know, the timeline is pretty high on that and we only have to the end of next year.
And we did speak about that today, gave some updates between each other, some people that I need to probably reach out to. Some people have reached out to me asking how to get their money, what they need to turn in. I know there's one that they have not yet. It's a simple email, and they'll turn in the invoice. So we need to do a little bit of work on that, too. But we still have time, of course. But the one Paula brought up, I thought that was appropriately to be concerned about, is anything that's dependent upon a contractor. We know how hard it is right now with contractors and timing and such, that we need to probably be making sure that we stay on top of that, asking questions and things of that sort. For instance, the MIRA program was one that came up, and I know Barbie and I have talked about it, but I definitely want to make sure we stay on top of that, because we're going to blink, and it's not only going to be this Christmas, it'll be the next Christmas, and this money needs to be spent.
And that's when it needs to be all spent by year-end, calendar year-end next year, 26?
Correct. 12/31/26, correct.
But when will we, thanks, Chairman, when will we know, or when should we, if we are going to run into problem with that, I'm assuming, because I see we got, I don't know how real the numbers is, 375,000 with the MIRA program. I guess if that does come up, how much time will we have to quote-unquote move it if we could?
Right. I believe that at this point, it's locked in, so we need to make sure that we use it for the purposes of which we might have to modify a program or something, but the list is not the issue. I know that there are many people wishing to be on that list and are on the list.
I get it.
It's the contractors and such, so we'll have to figure something out, for sure. But they're working on it right now. I don't want to cause alarm, but that was just one that I thought was a good point Paula brought up, because we can't, it's not in the controllables, right? Those are the things that always get us concerned.
Okay, thank you. Alderman Marzak.
It was brought up in the other committee, Public Safety Committee, in regard to the borrowing of a vehicle from another community. Do we need to have a discussion, regarding the fire apparatus and potential vehicles that may be in need, and where we're going to get the money?
I think that's always appropriate. I think the committee would take direction from the administration on that in terms of that conversation. I don't know if you're prepared for that in the near future, or if that's still being worked on.
In particular, the fire.
Yes.
So Chief, we've got equipment coming, we just have to wait for it, correct?
Yes, we have two vehicles that we can take delivery of next year. I made reference last public safety meeting of planning for the future, and the need to sit down with the city manager and yourself to plan future purchases down the line.
Okay.
But we certainly, I'm sure you shared that night, Chief, we certainly came up with a plan. The chief and staff and attorneys and phone calls, and, we got it done fairly quickly, in the situation where we needed it.
I think in particular, we was talking more so about that with the fire, not the ambulance, that was brought up pretty much, that night, because it sounds like the urgency of, I ain't gonna say now, but, got a lot of miles on them ambulances, and what was the lead time, like a couple of years, a year and a half to get one, and refresh that for, we discussed it a little bit.
So, planning for a new ambulance, it does take some time. Once we place the order, delivery time can be anywhere from 2 to 3 years out. So, getting ahead of it, and then talking about vehicle replacement, sitting down with the city manager and the mayor, kind of outline what we're going to need for the next vehicle that we need to replace would be, we haven't had those discussions recently. We had 2 vehicles placed on order. But something that we'll need to do in the future, kind of plan on how we're going to pay for those down the line.
Okay. Because I know we had, we got a used ambulance at one point, and I guess we're running pretty hard, and I've seen them, they're pretty active now, and I don't, down the road, I know it's going to take a couple of years to, you got to pay it off. It's a lot of money, but I believe, we'll have the money. I don't think that'll be an issue, but the lead time is amazing, and I was just talking to another fire department up north the other day, and they was actually echoing a lot of what you were saying. I said, I guess it's not a Kankakee thing. It's it's a real problem trying to get equipment,
Okay, so you want to have questions for Comptroller Rogers on her reports? Any of that information? All right. Any other general comments, questions from the committee members? Mayor, city manager, anything you care to add? No?
I mean,
Oh, there is the one last update here, the GO bond
Yeah.
update.
you want to go ahead and give an update on that? I
You go
know
ahead, Mayor.
Bob Bale's going to talk, but
You go
just how it
ahead.
went. Go ahead, you're good. You probably know more about it than me.
Yeah,
'cause
that's
It came
fine.
out at the end.
Yeah, that's fine. So as you know, Bob Vale will come and do a summary report to us like he always does. It'll be in the upcoming weeks. We don't have a date for sure yet, but he knows he has to wait to find a date here in that no later than November timeframe. And I got an email about 2 weeks ago, I think, from him, and we hit that day the lowest point that interest rates have been in like most of the year. So we had excellent timing is an understatement, and some of that is just luck, right? I mean, we just made a good plan. I know, we made a good plan. Now, we work with really great professionals who just go off of very logical trends. And logic said to do it when we did it, based off of multiple reasons, and it worked. And it worked really, really well for us. So the savings that he predicted, it was greater than that. So we'll get all those hard numbers in your hands here in the next couple of weeks. He'll give a full presentation on that. It was a really excellent sale all the way around. With the paperwork, all of it went very swimmingly. And of course, I was in and out of the office a lot with my family situation. So it's great to be working with trusted professionals who are very, very good at what they do. And it's good to work with people who trust us too. We appreciate your trust in us and the timing and the process, because if you didn't trust us and our recommendation, it all would have stopped right there. So very appreciative of that. I don't know if there's any other
And the
details.
only thing is, he'll give us hard exact numbers, but from his projection of the cost in early August, I believe, to the day we went to the sale is going to be a savings for the city of over $800,000
Yeah, it was substantial.
in interest payments.
That's good.
So with the market being lower than it was, with the demand of people wanting to buy the bonds,
The upgrade.
yep, everything coming
All of it.
across, I think he wanted to say it was somewhere around 840,000, but he'll give us the exact number. But that's significant if you think about, that's almost 1/20 of savings of what we went out and borrowed for the projection that you approved back in August, so, or July.
Very good. Well, thank you. Bob will come to a future council meeting and give that report?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, I suspect it'll be in November.
okay, great.
He's working on some other municipalities bonding money right now, so he need to
First.
divert his attention to them and get them hopefully
Take care of.
on the same thing like he did for us.
Okay. Anything else from the administration? Seeing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Yeah, I need a verbal, not just a head nod. Motion by Alderman Jones, a second by Alderman Navarez. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we are adjourned. Thank you.